Welcome to My SoberTruth, the podcast where we talk about the issues that are holding you back from flourishing in your life. This is where we break the chains of fear and resentment while learning to live in gratitude, how to stay focused and keep your life on a positive track even in the face of adversity. I'm your host, Sean Smith Sr., so grab yourself a cup of coffee and stay tuned as we dig in deep on these tough issues and we try to help you find your sober truth. Good morning, folks. Sean here with My SoberTruth, the interviews. We will go ahead and get started this morning. I've got my good friend Phillip here with me. He's going to do an interview with us. Hi, Phillip.
Hi, guys. How you doing, Sean?
All right, great. So we're going to go ahead and get started in the interview here. Phillip is a good friend of mine I've known for about 8 years now. We have kind of come along and shared a lot and had a lot of stories and a lot of phone time and a lot of face-to-face meetings. And we've really kind of lived our lives sharing with each other over the last 8 years. And it's been really great being friends with him. I've really appreciated all the friendship that he's offered and given me. And I really appreciate him for being here and helping us out with My SoberTruth and, trying to help us kind of get it kicked off and get things going. So hi, Phillip. How are you?
Hey, good, Sean. Good to see you. My pleasure to help. It sounds like a great idea.
Absolutely. Well, we think so. And we'll go ahead and get into our topic for today. So our topic for today is something that you hear that, I'll just be honest, it scared the devil out of me whenever I was first coming into this world of recovery. And I knew I needed to change my life and I wanted to change some things that I had going on. But so the quote is, and the topic is, the only thing you have to change is everything. And when I heard that, like I said, it really scared me. But when I really started thinking about it and I got down to it, the truth was, when I came into this world of recovery, nothing in my life was going right. I didn't have a job that I thought was awesome. I didn't have what the job that I did have I had not been doing it very well. My personal life wasn't going well. My relationships, I didn't have a romantic relationship at the time. I ruined a lot of those. My relationship with my children wasn't great. My relationship with my family, my brothers, my parents, nothing was really going very well for me. None of my relationships were working. None of, my relationships, like with business, with jobs, weren't going well. Nothing was going well. So that saying scared me, but the more I thought about it, the more true that it was. I really did kind of have to change everything. And I had no idea where to start. I had no idea what to do. Luckily, there's this program, this 12-step program that kind of helps you get started. And I was, I had this gift. We talk about it a lot. I had this gift of desperation. Mm-hmm. I wanted something different. My sponsor used to say it all the time. He said, I didn't know if I wanted what you guys had, but I knew I didn't want any more of what I had. So that just made sense to me. My life, it was pretty plain to me that my life wasn't going right. So if I could get honest with myself at all, my life wasn't going right. So what are your thoughts on the only thing I have to change is everything?
Yeah, that's a good topic. It's let's see, where would I go with this? It's like when I got into recovery about, I started about a dozen years ago, and I would say some parts of my life, if you looked at me on Facebook, you would have thought I had a great life. Let's put it that way. I was really good at putting out an image that I got it all under control. I got this, So now inside, I had this little secret, which was my drinking, which was getting worse all the time and starting to scare me. So I had this kind of conflicted view of what was going on here, but I knew I had a problem with alcohol. Like I had gotten to that point. And then I met somebody who had a little bit of fluency in recovery. Most of the people in my life that I had surrounded myself with, they didn't have any fluency. They didn't know anybody in recovery. They didn't use any of the recovery, or maybe I had bumped into those people and not wanted to be around them, probably. It's more like the truth. But I finally met somebody who helped me kind of realize that I didn't just have a problem with alcohol, I was an alcoholic. and that there was a treatment for alcoholism called the 12-step program. You know what I mean? Like, this is all stuff that I feel like I should have known, but I didn't know. So I got in. When I look back now, after, some years of recovery under my belt, my life was a lot more unmanageable than I cared to admit, or that I told Facebook. My life had a lot of cracks in it that I was covering up. I was basically putting my finger in the dam all over the place. I wasn't willing to be honest with myself then, but I can be more honest now. Now, in terms of changing everything, I like this phrase also that you'll hear sometimes: new playground, new playmates. It's like, you got to kind of hang out with different types of people. You and I have talked about this before. I had friends, and I had lots of Facebook friends, but I had a lot of drinking buddies, is the truth. And, drinking buddies are good when you're drinking, but when you're not drinking, it's kind of hard to hang out with your drinking buddies. I mean, that was the truth. So I had to quickly find people that I could hang out with and live a sober lifestyle. And for a while, that is pretty scary, because you're changing I had to change who I hung out with. I had to kind of change my attitude on things. I remember, if people get into the steps, you quickly get into discussion of higher power, right? For example, that scared me to death, because I had been raised an atheist, and my parents were big atheists. My mom didn't like the idea that AA had in her mind, a religious component to it, which is not true. But I had to really overcome resistance to that idea. And the same kind of thing happened in one of the meetings. I was talking about my resistance to this idea, and some older woman said, well, how's that been working out for you? You know what I mean? It's like, how does your attitude lead to your life right now? She had a point. It's like, woo, boy, my way was not working. So why don't I just put all my objections down for a sec and just listen, And so I really just had to kind of slowly but surely fall and keep going to meetings. I had to find a sponsor. I had to call my sponsor, not just have one, call him, talk to him. And I had to start working on the steps. And it took me a long time, actually. It took me a long time to kind of get it. I didn't get it right away. I had to go to rehab a year into starting going to AA meetings, and I signed myself up, at the urging of my sponsor. So I find when I'm working with young guys, what I'm hoping for with them, you said the gift of willingness. I just want them to keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. Don't think you're going to get it right away, because some people don't get it right away. You got to keep trying.
Yeah. I didn't, it feels like I got it right away because, but the truth is, when I go back and think about it, so this time, I had hit rock bottom, and, I started making some phone calls and tried to find my way into a rehab facility, and all that worked out for me. And so it's really easy to say that I'm a one-time, one white chip, kind of guy, but that's not really the truth if I really think about it, because I had made phone calls before. I had been to, I would go to an AA meeting. I would go to a meeting. I would go to a different meeting. But I'd go to one. Yeah. And then I'd come out of that meeting thinking I had some answers so really what I was looking for before wasn't a life of, I wasn't looking for a way to stay sober. I was looking for a way to drink sensibly, and I could never do that. What I really wanted was somebody to help me with my drinking problem. That's right. Not to help me stop drinking.
That's right.
And even when I got in this time, I can remember being 2-3 weeks into rehab and sitting there asking myself, so I had come into rehab and I had already started going to meetings, and I was referring to myself as an alcoholic and an addict. And I that didn't seem weird to me. I thought that was probably true. As a matter of fact, I can remember sitting around the bar with friends before I stopped drinking and joking about that fact, oh yeah, well, we're all alcoholics. We'll still be here at the bar when we're 70, we're going to be those old guys at the end of the bar. But I don't think, about 2 or 3 weeks in, I remember asking myself, is this really what you're saying? Are you really going to try and stop this forever? Are you never going to drink again? Are you never going to do another drug? Mm-hmm. Are you really saying that you're an alcoholic? And I guess it hit me like a ton of bricks right in that moment. I hope I never forget this. It hit me all of a sudden. So I just realized in that moment, I was 3 states away from home, didn't really have a home back home. So for all intents and purposes, I was homeless. Didn't have a job, didn't have a girlfriend or a wife. My kids didn't like talking to me. I had nothing going on. And I'm asking myself if I really believe I'm an alcoholic. Do I really have a problem? Well, in that moment, it hit me. Your whole life is a mess. Yes, you have a problem. You should probably shut up and listen to what these people have to say. And for some reason, I'd never listened to anybody in the past. I don't know what in the world made me start then, but I did. And I heard a guy at the rehab that I was at say, your program didn't work. Give ours a shot.
That's it.
And that just, it made sense to me because I was 42 years old sitting in rehab, didn't have anything to my name. I'd made a mess of my life. I was, didn't feel like a very good human being. I mean, the truth was I didn't like myself very much.
Right.
So not liking myself definitely made me kind of get it and go, yeah, you're not doing so well, Sean. And you probably are going to have to change everything. So that's what I wound up. I came to that conclusion that, the old saying that you hear people say that what is it, being crazy or is, what is it, doing the same thing over and over again?
The definition of insanity.
And expecting a different
outcome. That's right.
Well, that was me. How in the world could I keep on doing the same things that I was doing and expect a different outcome?
Yeah.
So,
the other thing that I'm thinking of when you're telling these stories is, at the beginning, it's hard. I'll give it to anybody who's starting with the recovery. It's hard. So don't think it's easy. It's hard because, I wanted to hang out with my drinking buddies. And there's another phrase we say, which is if you sit in the barbershop chair long enough, you're going to get a haircut.
That's
and
right.
That happened to me. It's like, I'm going to hang out with my drinking buddies. Eventually, I'm going to drink alcohol. I mean, that is what is going to happen. So, the good news, you have to change everything. The good news is you just have to do it a day at a time. And you'll hear a lot of people talk about day at a time. And that has become kind of a motto for me with anything that I'm challenged with. I can apply that to any difficulty I'm having in my life, that all I need to do today is just today. I don't need to start worrying about the future, which I tend to do. We talk about the worrying about the wreckage of the future, as the joke. It's like, well, I can get into that pretty fast. But if I just keep it in the day, just do my part on this today. Maybe today my job is to just not think about it so much. Okay, I'm just going to hang it up on the hook, not think about it. But that day at a time thing, one day at a time, you can kind of almost do anything you put your mind to, right?
Yeah.
Certainly if I surround myself with a bunch of people in recovery, I can kind of do it. It scared me, this idea that I would never drink again. And then some of the old timers said, don't think of it that way. They said, if you want to go get drunk tomorrow, you can do it. Today, don't do it. You know what I mean? Like today. And they said, if you try this for a little while and it's not working for you, we will fully refund your misery. And I always thought that was funny. And I thought, that is so true. What is wrong with giving it a shot, right? And some of us stick around because I wouldn't trade it in. Like, you could pay me $1 million right now, I wouldn't trade for what I had then. So it's like, but I didn't know what I didn't know. That's the trick. Right. It's like, how could I possibly know this stuff when I first start?
Yep, absolutely. And you go back to the working the steps and it's one of the reasons that I so strongly, one of the reasons that I kind of wanted to start this podcast was I wholeheartedly believe that the 12 steps are just a beautiful way to live a life. It really does make for a good life. Whether you're in recovery, whether you've ever been addicted to anything, doesn't really matter what the problem is. If you're having problems in life, you can apply this to your life. And I think without exception, your life gets better. If you start applying these principles to your life will get better. If it doesn't, give me a call or come kick me or something, because I have a hard time believing that you can apply these principles and they don't work.
That's it.
Getting back to that, like what you were talking about, if my program didn't work, then what do I do? What do I try? Well, something different, and yeah, try it for 90 days and see if anything changes. And if it doesn't, we'll refund your misery. Mm-hmm. Well, the truth was I was in misery, and it took me a step at the time to realize that I was in misery. They tell us early on to do the steps one step at a time and do them in order. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason that you do them in order, because you need to learn those lessons and then grow on that before you take that next step. And I didn't do that perfect. I jumped.
Nobody does. I didn't either. Nobody does, but we still make it through.
Right. I jumped around a little bit. I think a lot of people do. But once I jumped around and had a problem and started to realize that, okay, maybe jumping around in this wasn't the best thing for me to do. Maybe I should have followed direction. I don't know. Kind of feel like I'm getting off subject there a little bit, but it's just this whole thing of, I did have to change everything. But I didn't have to change it all that much. The truth is, this guy that I am, I think it's the guy that I was always meant to be. Yeah. I had just gotten off course.
I was going to say something to the same degree, which is the guy I am today is kind of an authentic version of who I am. And sometimes it reminds me of who I was when I was younger, before I got off course. Because I think we all get off course. And I know what it feels like to get off course. And when I'm so far off course, it's almost like the air I breathe and the water I swim in. I don't realize how far off course I am until I get a little perspective from it. Right. Now I look back 12 years ago, 13 years ago. Woo, boy, I was off course. Right. But I was telling myself everything was fine. I was trying to hold the thing together like we all do. Yep. Until we can't anymore. At some point, we give up. It's like, I give up. I gotta go to an AA meeting. I gotta start listening to these guys.
Right. Well, and it's like I heard you say before, you get off course like that. You have all these things happen, and until you get some perspective on it, you don't really understand it. And I didn't understand how bad off I was, but I think I know what I was getting at. The thing that I've heard you say before and talk about before was you didn't understand how far gone you were. And you don't really think about that kind of stuff. And until you do have some perspective. So you have to get a little further on. And there was this sense of relief when I finally accepted that. That's what I was going to say. I found this sense of relief when I finally realized that I was an alcoholic. All of a sudden, I realized that, oh, wait a minute. All of this stuff can be affected. My entire life was affected. It wasn't just that I was drinking too much and passing out occasionally, or drinking too much and getting in a screaming match at the bar or whatever. My entire life was affected by the fact that I was an alcoholic. So now all of a sudden, I thought I was crazy and there was no helping me. Right. Now all of a sudden, I'm not so crazy. And these people are presenting me with options that I can use to possibly get better. Well, once again, why wouldn't I try? Let me give it 90 days. I don't have a plan to get out of this mess. So maybe these guys' plan will work and I can use that, Yeah,
so, that's good. That's good. And I know we got to cut it off soon, but let me just say this last thing about, I felt before that nobody could really get me. I was real good at being the guy who was in a crowded party, but felt very alone. I was that guy for sure. And when I started going to meetings and I started listening to other people, they were describing the way I thought. They were describing the way I felt. They were, more than anybody I had ever heard, they were talking about how they dealt with situations in a way that I could really connect to. And I thought, this is it's my tribe. It's for the first time, I think, I felt like these are my people. Do you know what I mean? They get me. They understand me. I am like them. And like you said, they could come from all sorts of backgrounds. They could be homeless. They could be military. They could be corporate executive. I don't care who they were. We had such a similarity in the way we thought about things that it was immediately attractive to me.
Absolutely. I agree with you. You know, I remember hearing my sponsor say that, you can take what you need and leave the rest. So
Yeah.
that kind of opened it up for me. If something didn't really apply to me, I don't have to use that, but if it does apply to me, I can use it. But then I also remember, if, how do I put this? He was basically, I come into the meetings and I come into this program and I heard these people speak in a way that I'd never really heard people speak before.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a light in their eyes and I wanted that. I saw this light that I didn't see in everybody. And these guys they had found something. There was a joy and a light in their eyes that I had never seen or really noticed in a lot of people before. And when I noticed that, I wanted some of it. And I thought if there was a chance that I could maybe have some of that, they seemed at ease with themselves, which is something that I didn't know anything about. They seemed at ease with their lives, and it could have all been a big lie, but I didn't think it was. They certainly came off as with an amount of vulnerability and an amount of these things that I didn't share and didn't have any knowledge about. These people had, and I just wanted some of that, and it's made for a pretty great life so far. I have found a little piece of it, and I use it in my life, and I love it. And you said it a while ago. You wouldn't trade the life that you had for $1 million. Neither would I. I love the life that I have. It's a great life, and I wouldn't trade it for $1 million either. So I value my friendship with you, and it's been great getting to know you over the last 8 years. Can't wait for the next 8.
Yeah, it's great.
I guess we'll go ahead and wind this up for now for this version or this episode of Conversations with My SoberTruth. And Phillip, thanks a ton for joining us, and we've really enjoyed having you on, and hopefully you'll see us again.
Sounds good. It's good to just chat like this with you, Sean. Always is.
Absolutely. Thanks so much,
All right, buddy.
Phillip. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Bye.